the Palace of Speed. The chaos early on in this race.
Round 8 of Spec-5 World Tour is from Road America, America's national park of speed. And look at that, 4.03 miles of high-speed racing through the forest, through some of the super iconic corners. And it's a 45-minute race, bringing it to you here on HJBC. David Haynes with Devin Peters and Michael Derby. Devin, they're just getting into qualifying.
And it's always a good time to be here at Road America. You know, you get all kinds of fake corners. You get a few real corners, like what we're seeing here. I think this is turn number 4, technically, underneath the Sargento Cheese Bridge. And of course, you get Canada Corner, which is the finest of the corners here at Road America. And I'm looking forward to some good Miata racing today because that's what we're really all here to see.
So it is a very large lap around Road America, regrettably 200 meters longer than Mount Panorama Circuit, forever stinging to, I suppose, my Australian ego. But what it means for these Mazda MX-5 Cup cars in the Spec-5 World Tour is you can't dilly-dally before you get out there in this 15-minute qualifying session, or you really won't get that many laps in. It's not a small, compact layout like we were on at Zandvoort not long ago this season. No, this is the real deal, and it's also with the bend instead of the kink after the carousel around the far side of the circuit before they get to your beloved Canada Corner.
Well, it's an iconic layout, this one, with the Champ Car World Series running it, and every motorcycle series worth its salt doing that as well. And it's a different layout, you know. It kind of really changes the way you have to approach the exit of the carousel here. And we're seeing this as he jumps over to the right-hand side. And it's a tricky corner. The curbs are really flat, but because you approach it with so much speed, you can, you really have to kind of nail the timing of the turn in to get it just right.
So from the car numbers, you can deduce a couple of things. Who are our very, very generous Spec-5 World Tour supporters, but also who is the class leaders in Pro and Open. And I do believe that's Orlando Herald in Open and Ronnie Coates in Pro. We'll keep across to that, and you can see it on the graphics package that we have, and also that time ticking down. By the time they've come around to do the outlap and start their first flying lap of qualifying, 3 minutes is already gone, and that's why we saw Camden Hibbett and others simply not wasting any time on their outlap to get around and hopefully get in as many flying laps as possible. Even then, I think you're still only getting 3 in. Camden Hibbett, some of the others, they know it, they're onto it, and this is the start of the first flying lap for young Camden Hibbett, race winner at VIR not long ago.
Yeah, I think he took down VIR in the pro class. I think the open class winner of that race was actually Andrew Gilliland, who we got on the grid today. And all kinds of points implications at this point of the season. There's lots of points to be had. We got Andrew Gilliland now on board. You'll see him in this distinctive blue, red, and white livery. And he's had a pretty solid season so far. Second place in the open class points, but making a bit of a charge. And he's second place to Orlando Herald, who we jumped to, but he's actually sitting on the end of the pit lane right now. So we can show you the interesting things happening. Oh, and Gilliland's going to regret that exit. I think with 2 tires off there, he might have cost himself the lap. Just behind him on track, we have Kirill Bodnar. I believe this is Kirill's first race. He's got one of the slicker paint jobs out there. I like the wasabi green on the front quarter panels. That's kind of neat.
Super long right-hander here, and again, setting yourself up to slam on the brakes rather than carry as much speed as possible through the kink, and all of the cones there will direct you through the bend here. And now it's slow traction that determines your speed down the straight and towards Canada Corner, rather than how brave you were through the kink.
I think it's better suited to a car like this, though, because you're not really that much on the limit in a Miata around there. It's kind of just flat with the level of acceleration the car has. So I think this suits it pretty nicely, having that extra set of turns and extra braking zone to attack in.
Just 1 turn left on this lap for Kirill Bodnar. And it's a long run from that final corner uphill towards the checkered flag. Very bad track to run out of fuel and cough and splutter late on here at Road America. I've seen cars not make it up that hill before. Something you want to keep in mind for the 45-minute race, where there will be a pit stop. Some of the first flying laps come through now. It has Michael Chase at the top from Rory Coimbra, Camden Hibbett in 3rd. That lap from Bodnar takes them to 8th. Andrew Gilliland has the best open class lap at the moment, with 12 drivers having set times. Onto another lap we go. With Gilliland, open class leader at the moment.
I was going to say, I think on my timing screen, I got, I think, Fauxweather with the purple Sector 1. Do I got that right?
Yes, but then off
Pretty
his
average.
best in the next sector. Ronnie Coates is back in 8th, not where we would expect to see the championship leader with the red numbers. Because of that, it's a big braking zone here at turn 5. So you're at the end of a long straight, you're downhill into a tight 90-degree left where you don't want to run out too wide. and then carrying speed up the hill underneath the Corvette bridge. Exit is kind of blind to you until you're already committed in through there for Ronnie Coates, and then there's a little right-hander here through the Hurry Downs, and you are about halfway around the lap at this point.
You could really see on the exit of 6 there why they've paved the runoff on the far side of some of these curbs, because you're so committed all the way through, holding so much speed that inevitably that turf's going to get chewed up.
That said Ronnie Coates 8th, but I've got him as 3rd at the moment. Scratching my chin on that one. It definitely looks tidy at the moment from Ronnie Coates, using the right parts of the track.
Yeah,
and naturally, as we often see in these qualifying sessions, everyone's improving as we go, and they build more temperature into the tyres. They don't work quite right until you have had 5-10 minutes, put a bit of temperature into the tyres, and the fastest lap normally comes on the last of 4 flying laps. Whether we get 4 flying laps around this over 4 mile long circuit in the 15-minute session will remain to be seen. I'm thinking yes. They're doing 2-minute 40s. And if you've done 2 laps and you're crossing the line now, you only need 5 minutes and 20. So I think everyone is just going to squeeze 4 flying laps, 16 miles of qualifying into this 15-minute session.
Speaking of flying laps, Ronnie Coates puts in a better one that time by. I've got him 4th on the grid right now. Is that accurate?
I've got him as a very slight improvement there. Other drivers now moving ahead of him. Ronnie Coates has gone to 7th with Camden Hibbert up top, Otis Adams, and then Michael Coates.
Is we're saying that we're giving you the wide world of speed experience today, the tape delay, of course, on the Tuesday after the Thursday night race. Michael Coates diving into turn number 3 there.
In Australia, it was Speed Week that would have an hour or 2 on Sunday afternoon with some compressed highlights and replay packages of various club racing and other things that had happened over the past month or so.
Good stuff. It's interesting to me.
Spec-5 World Tour.
I was going to say, it's interesting to me. I'm not seeing these fast guys. I feel like usually on the way into 5 there, you see guys on the right-hand side of the rumble strip. Just surprised to see guys aren't going quite that far out. Ooh, and speaking of going far out, Michael Coates takes his shot at the dirt there. Looking around, I'm seeing Otis looking like he's pretty quick on this one. He's just put in a purple sector. Unfortunately for him, the sector before was a little bit less excellent. Only a yellow sector for him there. Another quick one, though, into the Canada corner. He's setting personal bests all the way around.
That cameraman was a little too art house for my liking. And I think Bigfoot is blurry. That's the problem. It's tough to string together a tidy lap around such a long lap. I'm seeing a lot of drivers that they improve in one sector. It's steady in some of the others. And then we'll sort of wait and see how we go. But there's a handful of cars completing their 3rd flying lap right here, like Camden Hibbert, like Otis Adams, who comes here, and that lap didn't count.
Oh, it didn't? Oh, dang it. It was faster, but it must have lost some time somewhere. Camden comes across the line. He's looking quick too.
No improvement on lap number 3 for him. So it's down to the final lap of qualifying now for everyone. And we have a qualifying time from 17 drivers at the moment. Greg Mack is out on track without one at the moment. Gino Polici's motoring on with some good sectors on his final lap. And the field is so tight between about 3rd and 10th, where just 0.3 of a second covers them around one of the longer laps that Spec-5 World Tour will go to all season.
Orlando Harrell looking a little bit off the pace. That could have some implications. After that strong performance last week, he's 2:46 last time by. A little bit off his usual pace. And scratch that, 2:48 last time by, 2:46 this time. But not finding much more. We've got a fair number of drivers that are opting to stick to the pit lane now too. Looking around for drivers that are on a current lap. Camden Hibbett's just stuffed it in the wall. I think he got off track. Decided to hurry his way back to the pits.
So only about half the cars left out on track at the moment. Some of them are done. Some of them have maybe off-tracked their final lap and called it quits on qualifying as they get ready for the 45-minute race. We follow some of the drivers still out on track, like Ray Lombardi, 9th right now. Bit of time missing through some of these sectors. 2 tenths lost through the bend there this time. So maybe they have all just reached the limit of their grip. Not as much improvement as you might hope for, with Polici on top from Camden Hibbett, from Michael Chase, who's now done with qualifying. It's Coates, Lombardi, some of the cars left out on track with a minute left, racing to the checkered flag to see if they can improve their qualifying at Road America. We follow Ray up the hill to the checkered flag timing there, and he misses out on improving by about 2 or 3 tenths on his final lap. Michael Coates jumps up to 5th on his flying lap, which was a final flying lap at 2:40.7. So an improvement there from Michael Coates right at the end, where a lot of other drivers seemed like they ran out of puff lap 2 or 3.
Yeah, I'm wondering if maybe he took I noticed that lap 3 was canceled, so I wonder if he took a quick hop back to the pits or something, or just took a cool down lap. Either way, that worked out for him. And the only car left lapping on track by looks of things is Orlando Harrell. And we'll see. Don't think
he's not going to beat the buzzer with this one.
That'll be a disappointment for him.
But it means everyone has a qualifying time, and that looks correct to me. We'll get the graphic in a second as we get ready for 45 minutes of racing for Spec-5 World Tour from Road America. The grid will be Eugenio Polici and Camden Hibbett on the front row for the 2-wide rolling start. Michael Chase and Otis Adams behind them. Then Michael Coates and Rui Coimbra. Andrew Gilliland as the open class pole sitter there in 7th, from championship leader Ronnie Coates in 8th. David Barkley and Ray Lombardi 9th and 10th on the grid right now, with Mitchell Peake and then Simon Foweather. Zuth Stalston, the next open class car there. And Tom Aiton, Kirill Bonda, Brian Jabelski, Pro Class Cars, and Greg Mack and Orlando Harrell making up the field. Just the 4 open class drivers, and they are 7th, 13th, 17th, and 18th on the grid. I'd say that's a pretty decent qualifying for Gilliland, who's taken some race wins, but it's consistency, I think, and a consistency of podiums had Orlando Harrell as the points leader to this point.
Yeah, a couple of zeros on the scoreboard for Gilliland, making it harder for him to challenge for that lead in the points. But young guy, experience comes with time. He'll have a shot to make that up.
Packed any fun Road America facts in your lunchbox for today?
What do I got for you? I think it is worth saying that the course. No, I'm flipping through my book. I got nothing.
I got nothing off the top of my head other than they don't know how corner numbers work around here, but it's just one of those things you deal with it and you move on. Turn 2, turn 4 don't really look like turns to me, but apparently they count, and that means that turn 5 is one of the best overtaking opportunities. You go underneath the Sargento Cheese Bridge. That's something that makes sense to me. And it's a big downhill braking there.
Yeah, I gotta go listen to some more of the stories about the Elkhart Lodge and lodge them all the way in my brain so that I can bring them up in moments like this. But there's a lot of history around some of the local drinking establishments. It could be said here at Road America. I've heard stories of food fights and more. We'll leave it at that.
The level 5 motorsport D-Sports racer is a bit of modern folklore around this place.
Yeah, first D-Sports racer in the 2 minutes. And I think they did it consuming 1 motor per session after investing something like $14 million on the 5-post shaker rig and 30 computers doing fluid dynamics.
It's a little bit like paying Messi to play on your 12-year-old son's team and beating up another team of 12-year-olds 20 goals to zip. But
it's pretty awesome.
The secret ingredient, as always, was crime. So continuing the formation lap here, the iRacing pace car driver has gotten a little bit smarter of late, so he probably won't overshoot the bend like he might have in years prior. As he approaches at 60 miles an hour, he will slow up just a little bit for it, just bleeding off a little bit of speed now before he will probably, still bomb it in a little quick.
It's a pretty cold day out there today, as we said, 66 in the air, 70 on the track. Judging by how the tires were kind of working in the qualifying session, though, I'm getting the sense that the drivers weren't super duper eager to get those tires overheated.
And as you look at the weather, there has been a bit of a change up in how the weather works on iRacing since we've had rain. No rain for this car or this series, but it would be rare even a month ago to see a track temperature that low with an air temperature that high. Normally the track temperature would always be the same as air temperature or above, and never 8 degrees underneath what the air temperature is doing. So it's interesting to see that it behaves just a little bit differently, even in the absence of any precipitation falling from the sky. Pace car's getting ahead of the field, about to pull into the pit entry that the drivers will also need to use later in the race. And they head up the hill, soon in view of the starters stand, where the green flag will wave for 45 minutes of Spec-5 World Tour racing at Road America. Here is the green flag, and we go racing. Super bunched up field, concrete wall to the right-hand side of the drivers. You don't really want to go too wide, 3 wide, too aggressively, too early. With the long run down towards turn number 1, I think I see a bit of a bump draft going on there. I think I see HJBC needing to hold on. Or was that Foweather? Now Lombardi's out wide of turn 1.
Yeah, Foweather and Lombardi got together. I think Foweather checked up because Lombardi checked up earlier than he expected. Either way, it put Lombardi out wide, and Lombardi ran through the gravel. They're sorting it out, though, back to single file up at the front.
underneath the bridge. We're real cheese people. Camden Hibbert's taken the race lead from Eugenio Polici as they head down towards turn 5. Otis Adams and Rui Coimbra both taking some spots away from Michael Chase, who got boxed in on that race start. And he's now looking to maybe get down the inside. He's really looking to get down the inside here, all the way alongside Eugenio Polici in second place. A big move on cold tyres down and towards turn number 5. Polici gets good drive off the corner. Otis Adams also with some decent drive off the corner round the outside here. Instead has to give it up, slot back into 4th, just ahead of the open class leader, Andrew Gilliland, now running 5th outright.
Thinking a bit more on it, Ray Lombardi's got to be kicking himself a bit. He's had a couple of race starts lately that have been a bummer for him, pushing him back deep in the field. So he'll be doing the recovery drive again. Might have to take some evasive action too. Just up the road, we're seeing Kiro Bondar and that's Tom Athon going too wide through the carousel. Athon clears out wide and closes the door on Bondar and moves on. And as I say the name Bondar, I have to wonder if there's any relation between him and Roberta Bondar, notable Canadian astronaut. Anyways, we'll continue.
Possibly we all know who the most famous Canadian astronaut is. That one's not even close, Mr. Hadfield. Camden Hibbert, 6/10 leading the field. But it's on for second place here. Michael Chase has been such a yo-yo through the field, from 3rd back to 5th and 6th, now up into second place. Chase into 2nd. Gilliland also gaining some spots as he's 4th out right now. Picked off Otis Adams, picked off Michael Coates, picked off Rui Coimbra, and he's having a really strong one to start it off at Road America. And Michael Chase also closing in on Camden Hibbert as they're about to have 4 miles, 1 lap completed. Here goes Chase for the lead. He's going to look round the outside of Camden Hibbert, who offers it up. And Michael Chase leads after lap 1.
Yeah, gets that move done cleanly up the inside. And really showing off one of the other major characteristics of this track. We're going to see lots of big draft trains coming up to that start-finish line. It's going to be interesting to see who figures out the timing.
Particularly this opening part of the lap, you've got the really long run down the front straight. You go through 2 corners. Now you've got a really long, flat-out stretch mirroring the pit straight on your way down towards turn number 5. Big speeds here. Seeing a bit of movement around 3rd place, 4th place. Gilliland covering off the inside. Otis looking around the outside of him. Camden Hibbert closing back in on the race lead. And Camden Hibbert now outbreaks down the inside. Looking for 3rd, side by side for the race lead as well. No shortage of action at turn 5 every time that the packs come through.
Yeah, deeper in the field, you got Simon Fowler in that red and white striped car making moves up the inside. Looked like he was able to get it done on Michael Mitchell Peak there. The two of them holding off the likes of David Barkley behind. Barkley looking like he's having a bit of a poor start, falling back from 9th place. And Fowler's at it again. Oh, and they're getting busy up front. Who's that? That's Otis, off track.
Left-hander at the bottom of the hill. He loses out a couple of spots. There's some weird little bits on the apex there. Almost potholes around, but that is how.
Let things keep playing on here.
Towards the bend we go. Barkley now is the driver in behind. It's a big braking zone, but is it a good overtaking zone? When the track switches back and then you really, really want your best foot forward as you accelerate out of that slow corner. Comes the slowest corner on the track for sure when you add it to this layout.
Yeah, it definitely is. Not much of an overtaking zone, I'd agree. And they're too wide up the front going into Canada corner. For a second there, Camden was looking up the inside of Michael Chase. It looks like that one won't be on, though. And the pack streams up the hill again. Deeper in the field, looking a little busy. Oh, and we've got a spinner. That's Simon Fowler. Oh no. And it looks like Fowler Oh man, he got a little wrong on the entry and collects a little bit of a pack there. I think that damaged a few cars. Who do we got? I got Mitchell Peak driving with a bit of damage. I got Foweather and Barkley out in the pits. I got Otis limping down the pit lane, and Zeus Dalston too. That's hard hit.
Looks like 2 cars driving onto pit lane, 2 cars towing there with too much damage. So 4 cars overall in the final corner, and your pit box is back there, Zeus. Otis finds his as well for the race lead. A bit of a squeeze on down towards turn 5. Michael Chase and Camden Hibbett. The open class leader Andrew Gilliland right with them as well. Chase is down the inside, but you need a good drive up the hill underneath the Corvette bridge, and he's run just a little bit wide. And Camden Hibbett fancies it and then thinks better of it.
Sometimes you got to be patient, and Camden's showing that here. It's big news though for Andrew Gilliland to be up here. That's his friend, his driver coach up ahead of him, and he's having a good race himself, is Gilliland. And if you can keep this kind of separation to the rest of the open class, it'll be a big points winner for him.
Yep, it'll be a really big points haul the way he's running at the moment, but nothing's a guarantee because Polici, Coimbra, Coates and Coates are the drivers now, our top 7. You see them working their way through the carousel and then coming over to the right-hand side to break for the bend.
Yeah.
And then Chase, perhaps aptly, leads them down to Canada Corner.
Yeah, and with that little bit of drama there in the middle of the pack, it's now a breakaway of 7 cars. We got Mitchell Peak kind of out in no man's land behind him, and then we've got another group of 4 headed up by Orlando Harrell. Actually, that's our second open class driver, who will be holding them off.
Harrell from the very, very back of the grid, leading that group as well with some moves, and Raylan is back. He's back.
Yeah, Ray Lombardi's driving his way back up through the field. He's now set his sights on Orlando, so we'll see how long Orlando's able to hold on. Pretty good effort, though, here from Orlando after what was a scruffy qualifying session, I must say. He's driven his way up to 9th place from dead last on the grid.
Leaders are side by side heading down towards turn number 1 with Camden Hibbett on the inside, going around the outside of Michael Chase. Andrew Gilliland just stays on the normal racing line, closing in on our leaders.
Ooh, that was a move in the braking zone. Camden Hibbett slams across the nose of Michael Chase from behind. And they're too wide now. Gilliland go looking up the inside.
Yeah, down through turn 3, Gilliland looks to go with and now follow in the slipstream of Camden Hibbett. Chase got a better drive off the corner though. It's just a nose ahead at the moment. Rest of the field love this. Free slipstream all the way down. Either lane, whichever way you go. It's the inside for Michael Chase. Both him and Gilliland have proved very strong on the brakes downhill there into turn 5. I think bend is the slowest corner, but that's the biggest braking zone in terms of how much speed you shed and how much brake force is needed.
Yeah, and it's a little bit downhill too, so it kind of stretches that braking zone even further. Looking deeper in the field, Orlando Harrell is now getting passed by Ray Lombardi, but by letting Ray by, he's letting Kirill by too. So that's 2 pro class cars in one corner, and now Greg Mack, another open class car, is trying to get by him too. And as they go up the inside,
What?
That
didn't look right.
Yeah, Orlando got a little bit of dirt, it looked like, in the braking zone, and the car shot left when that right rear tire got on the dirt, and the 2 of them came together. Harrell's the loser in that contact, unfortunately. He'll limp away.
A bit of pushing going on from third. It's Camden Hibbett and Michael Chase and Andrew Gilliland at the top 3.
Going to our in classic tape delay broadcast, doing the commercial break, you know. And racing continues. They're up the hill. Andrew Gilliland is pushing away at Michael Chase, but not able to be a factor. And pretty different lines from these two. And I'm curious to see what Camden will do, because he seemed to like the inside line last time by.
Got a couple of movers behind as well, so it's too wide for the lead. It's too wide for fourth. And then Ronnie Coates is going to pull back in line in a second. Chase down the inside. Rui Coimbra also taking some spots through turn one. Camden Hibbert looking to strike back as Chase got in a little bit hot, ran out a little bit wide. Now they're side by side down in towards turn number 3. Now either of these are the quickest way around the lap. Either squeeze to the inside or not able to take the apex. And look at all the speed that Rui Coimbra arrives with, but boxed in, nowhere to go. And he says, okay, maybe Michael Chase is my guy if Gilliland has got Camden Hibbert.
And it's interesting. I've been kind of following the back half of this group. It's Ronnie Coates riding along at the back right now. And hearing big lifts from those cars in 6th and 7th right now. Not the kind of lifts I'm hearing from these guys that are battling out front.
It's a little bit of the Ronnie strategy, and he's got a great view, but also just enough time to react if something does kick off. Mitchell Peak, fastest lap of the race? Not quite, but fastest driver on track last lap. As we've seen lots of side-by-side between the race leaders, it's bringing Peak back towards them. And also bringing Ray Lombardi, Kirill Bonda. They're not that far away from this leading group, as we've seen side-by-side through 1, side-by-side through 3, bit of an attack through 5. It's not the quickest way around the racetrack, and the leading group was in the 242s, while it was a 241 flat for Mitchell Peak, who still stands a chance of getting there in time before the pit stops and really mixing it up with the leaders.
Yeah, he's been quick pretty consistently, but it's hard to do without a lot of draft. That gap, though, now looks to be only about 2 seconds, so I would say he's got a chance to reconnect.
There's always a chance to reconnect, Devon.
I think I've heard that commercial before.
Towards the final corner once again, about a lap away from the halfway point of the race, and we're not seeing anyone tactically take an early pit stop just yet. The strategy is to run long, and that definitely looks like what Ronnie Coates is aiming for at the tail of this field, as he just, like you said, has been really gentle with the fuel while making sure he stays with the leaders as they battle.
Now, it looks like the window is going to open around lap 7 and maybe be open out to about lap 13, maybe 14, depending on how much fuel you save. 4 kilometers is a lot of fuel to save. Sorry, 4 miles, 6.5 kilometers is a lot of fuel to save. When they're battling up front, it's too wide. Rui Coimbra, not sure what lane to take. Michael Chase is going to be on the outside again, and we'll see a bit of a push here from that's Gilliland in 4th, giving a push to Rui Coimbra, who's going to pass it on to Michael Chase. And then Gilliland dives out to his buddy on the outside line. Oh, and Rui Coimbra gets lost and finds a little bit of dirt over the hill.
Yeah, please don't stray from the paths in this national park.
Nice line there from Camden Hibbert.
But even then,
Hibbert holds the line all the way around the outside. I think you mean tire prints, David. Tire tracks? Yeah, there you go. Either way, they're still slicing and dicing at the front.
And only you can prevent forest fires. This is good for Peak. This is real good for Mitchell Peak right now, as he watches the top 7 battle at several occasions, and his consistency is bringing him there. Now he might arrive at this pack having not saved anywhere near as much fuel as Eugenio Pollicci, Michael Coates, Ronnie Coates, but if you can get onto the tail of the slipstream, then you are always a chance. That's where you want to be.
Well, and I don't know if you've looked lately, but Ray Lombardi's not that far back either now. He's only about 3.5 seconds back of the tail end of this group. So Mitchell Peak now well and truly attached, and the rest of them, Ray Lombardi looking like he might have a shot, and heck, even Kirill might be in it if they keep on fighting like that.
For the size of circuit, for the length of the lap, qualifying was pretty close, and the racing's looking pretty close as well, with our top 10 still covered within 10 seconds, but our top 6 covered within 1.5 seconds right now. Through the final part of the lap here over one of the access tunnels there.
Ronnie Coates dropped off the back of the pack actually a little bit there, and we're seeing him hit the pit lane.
Maybe get a slowdown somewhere as Rui Coimbra hits the pit lane as well, and Ronnie's in.
Michael Chase making the ceremonial dive up the inside at this point.
So plenty happening at the midway point of the race in Spec-5 World Tour, as is often the case, entering the pit stop phase, but also with some leaders willing to dice it up. And I wonder if Coimbra and Coates haven't seen this sort of thing side by side for the 3rd, 4th, 5th time down towards turn number 3 and thought, yeah, I could do Mitchell Peak's pace in the 240s rather than these 242s when we battle like this.
They're not going to let that stop them. The young guys on the outside, Andrew Gilliland giving a push to Camden Hibbett, and the two of them trying to get Michael Coates behind them. No, that is Michael Chase behind him. Ooh, a nice line there from Gilliland, just tucking in. This time they're not able to make it work though, and it seemed like Hibbett maybe either lifted or bounced off the rev limiter up the hill that time, lost a little bit of momentum. I'm pretty sure that Hibbett's done a few laps around Road America in his real race career.
It's not so far away from where we know he operates, around Ohio, Indiana, Michigan, around there. It's not quite from California or nothing like that. So through the carousel, you've got your top 3, then you've got Polici, then you've got Coates, and you've got Mitchell Peak, who's caught the tail end here. And you've got Rui Coimbra and Ronnie Coates, who have already stopped in this race.
Yeah, interesting to still see Camden kind of pushing the inside. But also a little interesting to see Chase driving such a defensive line into Canada corner there. I'm just kind of watching out of the corner of my eye too. Rui and Ronnie have exited the pits and are going through the kink right now. And it looks like we'll have a few takers on the pit lane this lap from the lead pack. That's Camden, that's who else? Gilliland and Mitchell Peak all taking that pit stop. But as I was saying, Coates and Coimbra are out there lapping, but they're still pretty separated. Just now getting to within a second of each other.
Going to have a bunch of other callers as well, like Greg Mack, Brian Chabowski, Tom Aton.
Yeah, Greg Mack, second place in the open class as they were. He's rolling down the pit lane with the leader stopped and fueling already. And Gilliland showing some real pace around here, it must be said, for an open class driver.
And here are the 3 from the lead that stayed out: Michael Chase, Eugenio Polici, Michael Coates. Out of the lane, who'll be first? Perhaps Gilliland, then Hibbett, then Peak. Down at turn 5, less battling now that there's just the 3 of them, and then when there was 8 cars or so, maybe Michael Chase can show his pace just a little bit better. And off of the pit road, Rui Coimbra is ahead of Andrew Gilliland.
And that's big. Those similar looking cars, team not a team, both of them. Coimbra's all the way off on the exit.
Yep, so drivers who stopped earlier ahead of Gilliland, ahead of Ronnie Coates.
And a little bit of team orders there too by the looks of things. Otis lets Rui Coimbra by quite easily up at the front. Not quite so easy as Ronnie Coates holding off Camden Hibbett deeper behind him. And have to imagine with all the fuel saving Coates did, he's going to be trying to hold off Camden now in this phase of the race. He gets a little bit wrong there. Not quite enough that Camden had to move, but Camden's putting a lot of pressure on him.
We've seen the teammates, Camden Hibbett and Andrew Gilliland, look a little inseparable to this point, but now there's a car in between. And your race leader heads to the pit road. Michael Chase is in, but Pollicci and Michael Coates stay out. And Michael Coates is now willing Eugenio Pollicci on late in this race down towards turn number 1. Two drivers who were in that sort of 5th, 6th place position.
Yeah, good push there down the front straightaway. And the two of them are setting some pretty quick laps. Last time by a 2:40.0 and a 2:41, 40.1 for Eugenio Pollicci and Michael Coates. And that's pretty much as quick as anyone is out on the track right now.
It goes from there were 7 cars at the lead to they all peel off one by one. In fact, a bit more 2 by 2. And it's just Eugenio Pollicci and Michael Coates left. Michael Chase has stopped 21 seconds, a little longer than some of the others, and he is going to rejoin behind this absolute freight train of cars. Rui Coimbra, Otis Adams, Andrew Gilliland, Ronnie Coates, Camden Hibbett are all through, and Michael Chase will be just a couple of seconds behind them, potentially out of touch. Depends what happens. Now, remember,
Mitchell Peak has had to take a longer stop because of his chase in the first half there. But speaking of, he's fallen Michael Chase now. Maybe the two of them get connected and make a move up here at the front. And they're busy at the front right now.
Chase and Peak linking up, not to be confused with Chase and Status. Here's Andrew Gilliland, big dive down the inside of 5 there, as he looks to get linked up with his teammate again, Camden Hibbett. In fact, now 2 cars between them. No, Hibbett gets down the inside there. So the group is Coimbra, Gilliland, Hibbett, Adams, Coates, Chase, and Peak. Chase and Peak are just within range. Now there's someone here that was part of that early wreck in the final corner who's probably going to have to stop again for another splash, because their first stop was just before the window opened to fuel and be able to get home. I think that's Adams.
Yeah, I think Otis is going to have to stop again because he stopped on lap 2. But we'll have to see. He might be thinking that with enough fuel saving he can get there, but that's certainly not how he was racing. But we'll see how that pans out.
Paint me slightly confused. Eugenio Pollicci and Michael Coates appear to have stayed out for another lap.
I think they're good out to lap 10, lap 14 maybe.
It's a long way to go for one more lap with only 14 and a half minutes left in the race around what feels like a relatively high fuel consumption track. I guess it's hard to completely gauge that, but you've got the long front straight and then this long straight from 3 down to 5 and then back straight towards Canada Corner as well.
Well, the two of them, it must be said, were right at the back of that lead pack early on, so they're really stretching this fuel window and making the most of it. And the lap times ain't lying. It's a 2:40.5 and a 2:40.6 again at the front, which basically puts them on par, maybe a couple tenths down on that second pack.
Oh, that's wide and deep and off the track and motocrossing from Eugenio Pellicci, not the quickest way to go through turn number 5.
A little bit of a battle deep in the field. Brian Shabelski is holding off the likes of Tom Athon for 15th place right now. Athon's going up the inside after getting a run out of the final corner. We'll see if he's able to make that move stick. Athon carries the run and clear. He's going to have the spot before the braking zone. And that's 13th place as they cross the line. The pit stops are cycling through a little bit.
Yeah, they also both pick up a spot there as Otis Adams pitted for that second time. So Athon and Shabelski move up to 13th and 14th. And back out onto the pit lane. Disrupted strategy because of the early damage. Maybe he took a few tires. He looked like he wanted to run on a little hot through turn 1 there. Pellicci and Coates still out. This is the chasing group of drivers who've all pitted. Ronnie Coates, Rui Coimbra, Camden Hibbett, Andrew Gilliland, and then Michael Chase and Mitchell Peake, both with just a little bit of a look in to this as well. If we see it begin to race in the pack like it was earlier on, too wide through every single corner, then they absolutely still stand a chance.
Yeah, only about 12 minutes left in the race.
I'm just saying, I think Chase could still catch them and Peake could still get a look in.
Hey, and Coates is hitting the pit lane this time, but interestingly, Pellicci is not. So Pollici's managed to save enough fuel. He can go one further. But unfortunately for Coates, that, or for Pellicci rather, that means he'll be finishing this lap without a drafting partner. And only a 2:41 that time by for Pellicci. So without that push down the front straightaway, he's definitely feeling the difference. Coates comes to a stop as the lead pack comes through the final sequence of corners up through 13 and into 14 here.
Yeah, service right now for Michael Coates, and he's still got 10 more seconds before he can get rolling. Here goes the pursuing pack. Ronnie Coates down the middle of the road, followed by Rui Coimbra, followed by Camden Hibbett. All of them looking for the toe as they approach speeds, 110, 120 miles an hour. Coates is rolling at the pit exit there, but he is nowhere near the speed that this freight train of cars has got. He'll hold the inside into 1, though, as they all approach at speed. They don't quite know what to do about him. Michael Coates will be right with the pack, right in the fight, as Camden Hibbett also makes some moves. Now he's looking down the inside to lead the pack. Ronnie Coates gets shuffled all the way back.
Michael Coates looked really uncomfortable as he came out of the pit lane. Almost lost it, almost put it in the dirt, but managed to gather it up in turn number 3 there, and now he's in the draft to Camden Hibbett, and we'll see, he might switch lanes here and make a move up the inside. Opts instead for the push, but that leaves the door open, and Rui Coimbra is going to take it. Rui Coimbra deep on the brakes, takes the lead, and almost leaves the door open wide enough for Ronnie Coates to follow him through.
Ronnie Coates made up a couple of spots back there as he also followed the Rui Coimbra path down the inside, and a couple of drivers like Michael Coates and Andrew Gilliland went backwards because of it. They almost have a little touch just there at the top of the hurry downs.
Yeah, Coates pushing Gilliland right to the limit of the track, and Gilliland had to do a little bit of counter steer on the entry to catch that one.
Coimbra has a slide off of the left-hander at the bottom of the hill. Camden Hibbett gets down the inside of the carousel to lead the pack. It is for second place as Eugenio Pellicci is still race leader on track, needing to stop. So if this group of cars is going quick, they'll have him. But just based on where Michael Coates rejoined, if Pellicci can have a stop the same size, same length as Coates, he'll be right with that group. Here he comes.
Yeah, he hits the lane, gets on the limiter a little bit early, but better to be safe than sorry. And yeah, I got to think that that he's going to come out well ahead. These guys are giving up a bit of time fighting over everything here.
Yeah, just a little bit of time to Canada corner. Single file, the group goes through.
Hibbett's driving up the hill.
Pellicci still looking for his crew, which are going to be at the very, very end of the lane, as he was the pole sitter. So he'll be right at the pit exit, getting his service, and he'll be right in close if he can have a good stop. dramas for Chase? For Peak?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what happened there. It looked like, yeah, sure enough, on the way into the final corner, misses a shift, blows the motor, and he's going to have to roll it all the way down the pit lane.
He won't make it up there, will he? And that's what we're talking about, that hill at the pit entry. Absolutely swarmed. Eugenio Pellicci comes out onto track in the race lead. Hibbett and Coimbra are like, oh, he's so slow and he's at the apex there. What are we going to do about it? And they all get checked up behind Eugenio Pellicci, who still leads, but your top 7 cars are covered by less than 1 second with 8 minutes, 4 laps still to go at Road America for Spec-5 World Tour.
And this is the stuff we love at Road America here. They're pushing real hard all the way down through the top 7.
And they're side by side for the race lead as well. They're side by side for third. Michael Coates is deciding who he wants to push to the lead. Rui Coimbra down the inside takes the race lead away from Eugenio Pellicci. Ronnie Coates doesn't quite get close. He's just clear of the nose of Camden Hibbett. And wherever Andrew Gilliland finishes in this pack, it's a good points result for him as he closes back in on the Open Class Championship lead.
Yeah, I see about 3 spots separating him and Zeus Dalston, who's running 9th right now and 2nd in the Open Class. Pretty good day for Zeus, it must be said, too. But yeah, Gilliland definitely the star of the Open Class, and we see Ray Lombardi in the shot there, too. Ray still trying to catch up. Pitted on the same lap as Rui Coimbra, but it wasn't enough to stretch the fuel. This front pack, though, is going to consume our attention. I have a feeling they're going at it real hard.
Yep, and around a track like this, no one can get away in the race lead, because here comes another long straight towards Canada Corner. And you have what would have been a top 8, but now just a top 7, Mitchell Peak, with the bad downshift in pursuit of the pack and launching his motor this time.
A little bit less common with those sequential boxes to manage to blow them by missing a shift, but still possible.
I mean, you can still pull one too early, but you can't go from 4th to 2nd directly. Mm-hmm. So there's a little more protection there. So it's 6 minutes left. Oh, he's still there. Oh, man, that's sad. That's quite sad.
You'd think they'd do a hot pull for that guy. Come on.
We've got 3 more laps. They know it. Eugenio Pellicci pulls for the race lead. There's a freight train down the middle as Andrew Gilliland pushes Ronnie Coates straight down the eye of the needle, splitting the both of them and taking the race lead.
And Camden gets left behind. He's still in 4th after pushing someone to the lead. Gilliland up the inside for Michael Coates there. And Coates and Gilliland no love lost after Coates pushed Gilliland a lap ago.
Yeah, for sure. Michael Chase wants a little bit of it as well. Down the inside of turn 5 has been one of those overtaking opportunities. You've got just a little bit of bump drafting going on, and then you pull out and you either defend or you think about diving down the inside, and you'll dive down the inside if you're Camden Hibbett. You'll dive down the inside if you're Michael Chase.
Nicely done,
Gilliland will have Chase back, though.
And it comes up under the Corvette bridge, and he's going to hold the inside and slam the door on the exit. Nicely executed, Michael Chase, now back of the pack.
So outside of this leading 7, it's not too many battles to take note of. Looks like Tom Athorn's pulling away from Brian Chabelski and the rest of the field with a bit more spacing going on. So Zeus Dalston 2nd in Open Class. Orlando Harrell 3rd, and pulling away from Greg Mack, who is 4th.
Interesting to note that outside of this group of top 7, everyone else in the field is green on the position differential. You know, they've gained position since the start, just because we've had a few cars get written off during this one. And I love this phase of the race. All the cars are getting a little wiggly as they're going down the straightaways. Can't decide which lane they want to be in. And sure enough, we got another one going up the inside. It's Camden Hibbett on the inside of Roy Coyne. No, sorry, that's Eugenio Pellicci. And he'll get the move done on the entry to the corner. Pellicci drops back into line, minimizes the time lost.
Shadows are getting a little bit longer. Track's getting a little bit cooler. Racing is getting a little bit hotter. 2 to go when they come out of the final corner this time, with Coates leading from Hibbett, from Pellicci, from Coimbra, from Coates, from Gilliland, from Chase. Expect some of it to change by the time they get down in towards turn number 1.
I was say by the next lap, no, by turn number 1 is right. Camden Hibbett now up the inside of Ronnie Coates.
How about we get another bit of 3 wide here? Shooting 3 wide down to the inside of turn number 1. Rui Coimbra gets to the lead of the race. Camden Hibbett follows him to second. Oh, 3 wide into turn 1, multiple laps in a row. It's all happening. Michael Chase still looking to go forward through the pack as well, as he's down the inside for turn 3 there. Mitchell Peak still sits in his car with hit entry at the bottom of the hill. He's going nowhere. How about side by side for the race lead? Camden Hibbett looking to strike back on Coimbra. Ronnie Coates has got big speed. He can either push or try to open up a 3rd lane. He wants a 3rd lane, but it's not there.
He lifts out, making the wise choice, I think. Dangerous to be pushing down the hill. And hearing a little contact deeper in the field, I think that was Gilliland making a little tap on the bumper of Coates.
Chase also got in there pretty hot, so it's 2 wide at the front of the pack, 2 wide at the tail end of the pack. Rui Coimbra has a little bit of a wiggle, but Camden Hibbett knows around the outside's not going to work there, so that compromises him. Pellicci's the quickest at the moment as he follows Camden Hibbett down the inside line on Ronnie Coates. Bottom of the hill, you can hook just a little bit of camber when you're on the inside line, and then head into the carousel. Long right-hander.
Oh, and they're fighting real hard on the inside there as Michael Coates, and he gets pushed onto the grass enough that Eugenio Pellicci is able to hold it around the outside. And it is wild action up and down this top group right now. And they're leaning on each other, folks. Like, I don't know if the trackside mics are catching it, but there's bumpers, there's taps, there's cars sliding on the entry because they're getting shoulders out and elbows out and bumping into each other. It's good stuff.
Pellicci and Coates are definitely very, very close through the carousel to sort of leaning on each other there. Here's the inside line for Camden Hibbett. Around the outside goes Rui Coimbra. And then I can't remember if it's Phil Mitchell-Bend or Bill Mitchell-Bend, but it's a near flat-out left-hander up the hill here. In these cars, you can keep it flat out, and it sends Rui Coimbra just back in front. Less than a minute on the clock. The white flag is waiting for them. 4 more miles of racing from Road America, and Rui Coimbra will lead them up the hill towards turn 1. And comes Camden Hibbett alongside him, pulling out early. Ronnie Coates has got speed. Eugenio Pellicci gets pushed. And it looks like Pellicci will lose out somewhat in behind Coates, Hibbett and Coimbra.
One more time down the straightaway under the Sargento Cheese Bridge, and there's single file now. I bet they won't be for long.
Ain't easy being cheesy, but it ain't easy picking your lines, how to race in a pack like this. 7 cars.
And
For the race lead.
they're 2x2 through turn number 5 up underneath the Corvette Bridge.
Great for Rui Coimbra to see cars 2x2 checking each other up behind him, still happening in his mirrors as Hibbett and Coates go side by side, losing all sorts of speed through what should otherwise be a near flat out corner. Looks great for Coimbra, the battling that is happening right behind him with Hibbett, Coates, Pellicci. Now Michael Chase goes ahead of Andrew Gilliland. Ronnie Coates is down the inside still of Polici as he just backs out of that one on the way into the carousel. Your top 7 begin to fan out after those dramas at the Corvette Bridge, and through the hurry downs into the bend we go, checking up, concertinaing up. Look at these lap times though, 2:42 from everyone in the lead pack. Ray Lombardi 2:40.8. He's closed like 3 seconds on the leader's last lap. It'll all come too late, but he's seen what's going on up front and just not quite been a part of it. Approaching Canada corner, Rui Coimbra leads them in a field that it's managed to string out just a little bit on the final lap, and I wonder if some of them have also hit just a little bit of fuel management on this final lap, realizing, oh, I've been using up more than I thought, and I need enough to get up the hill to that checkered flag. Good run through Canada corner, through the rest for Camden Hibbett, and he gets close within a car length of Rui Coimbra. It's a long run out the final corner, up the hill to the checkered flag. It's Coimbra from Hibbett, from Coates. The slipstream effect is massive, but Barney the flagman has the checkered flag out, and Rui Coimbra takes it from Camden Hibbett, from Michael Coates, from Eugenio Polici, Ronnie Coates, Michael Chase, and Andrew Gilliland there in 7th as the open class winner. Ray Lombardi just beyond his reach.
First time racer Kiro Bodnar's coming across the line in 9th place, followed by Tom Aton. Orlando Harrell passes Brian Chabelski on the final lap, but he's going to have to hit the pit lane for fuel by the looks of things as he dives to the pit lane. And who else we got? We got Greg Mack coming up the hill. That's open class 3rd place. Yeah, 3rd place. Soon to be 2nd place by the looks of things. Orlando's going to beats him to the line. We got Otis Adams coming as well. He crosses the line. Zeus Dalston, 4th in open class. And looking behind him.
Sorry, is he not waving?
Are they still racing? He's not racing. He's not waving the checkered flag. Keep it going. Camden is going under the Corvette Bridge, and we've had our.
It should have been the white flag, and it wasn't. What? Maybe our timing's been.
Our timing might be broken because, like we said, we're doing the recording. Either way, Camden Hibbett is following the rear bumper of Roy Coimbra.
So I was like, otherwise, why would Orlando Harrell pit? But there's more laps.
They're still going. So, recapping, Ray Lombardi's hanging off the back still. We got Roy Coimbra leading, Camden Hibbett 2nd, Michael Coates 3rd, Eugenio Polici 4th, Coates 5th, Gilliland, Michael Chase broken off the back a little bit.
Was he at least waving the white flag, or?
I don't even know.
Now, the timing got confused based on the pace lap, but then I thought it sorted itself out. But apparently not. And we're still racing, and our eyes are the evidence. As Coimbra from Hibbett from Michael Coates.
I've looked at
Hibbett down the inside
laps.
of Canada corner.
17 laps, so this will be the white flag this time by.
They're not all going the Dorian Pan route, I don't think. So again, you just got to look at the stand. What flag is waving as Coimbra's out front of Hibbett and Coates and Polici side by side for the race leaders. Gilliland and Chase are dropped back. Ray Lombardi, therefore, still stands a chance. Michael Coates is boxed in here. He's got nothing he can do except push Rui Coimbra up the hill to the start-finish line where the white
There's a white flag there.
is being waved to give us one more lap of Road America. 3 wide in the pack here, down towards turn number 1 for the race lead. Coimbra is in front, but it's around the outside line, so Camden Hibbett shoots through to the race lead on what we know, because of the flag man's arm, is the final lap of the race.
Michael Chase closing the door real hard on Andrew Gilliland in the 6th place battle right now. The two of them have disconnected from this pack ahead. They're almost 4 wide. Polici gets pushed onto the dirt as they go into the cheese bridge. Michael Coates up the outside. And this is the best overtime ever. Michael Coates last of the late breakers. He's going to get to the apex first. Manages to close the door on Roy Coimbra. Coimbra now leaves the door wide open to Camden Hibbett, though, on the exit.
two of them almost run off the circuit there. Now the leader runs off the circuit. Michael Coates disturbing the National Parker speed. Camden Hibbett and Rui Coimbra in close company. Ray Lombardi just keeps getting closer as well. As we go through the left-hander, Coates misses that little bit of banking. Tail kicks out. Tyres crying enough. Some pretty high loadings around some of the corners here, like the carousel, like the others. So it's just starting to lose some of the grip that you otherwise would have had.
Second to last big braking zone.
Yeah, through the bend we go. And again, just a little bit more track maintenance there from Michael Coates, using all of it and more as he dusts off the lawnmower and tries to protect the inside for Canada Corner. So Camden Hibbett has to make a decision to either try to go around the outside of him or try to push him or wait. And as he does that, Rui Coimbra senses an opportunity and the two of them lean on each other there through Canada Corner. Around the outside, it's not going to be productive as Rui Coimbra would have liked, but he sensed an opportunity. Now heading up the hill, he'll still remain side by side for second place. So Polici and Ronnie Coates will get so close. Michael Coates parks it on the inside on the way into the final corner. Checks up Hibbett, checks up Coimbra. We're heading up the hill and we expect to see the checkered flag fanning out three wide. Coimbra's out on the grass, side drafting up the hill. Camden Hibbett lays a little bit of door in, lays a little bit more door in as they're side by side, two lanes across the checkered flag, and Michael Chase takes it.
Coates. Michael Coates takes it, is it? Yeah,
Michael
it's Coates.
Yes. Michael Coates takes it by 9 thousandths of a second from Camden Hibbett. Then Eugenio Polici, 14 thousandths of a second from Rui Coimbra.
And Coimbra, then it goes Coates, fifth. That's Gillen, sixth. Who do I got? Michael Chase, seventh. Ray Lombardi, eighth. Across the line is Kirill Bodnar, ninth. Tom Athon, 10th. Shabelski, 11th. Otis Adams coming up the hill. And he'll be crossing the line in 12th with 2 pit stops. And our open class battle, as it was, Greg Mack, 13th. Zeus Dalston, 14th. Orlando Harrell, 15th. And it must be said, a big old haul of points for Andrew Gilliland with a delta of 6 spots between himself and Greg Mack in second place.
Yeah, Orlando Harrell's second stop. Quite costly in the end there for the driver who was briefly second in class. Let's look at those results. Michael Coates from Camden Hibbett, from Eugenio Polici, from Rui Coimbra, all covered by 1.5 tenths of a second as they were side by side, 2 rows deep at 110 miles an hour, taking the checkered flag. Ronnie Coates gets a tidy 5th place there for his championship lead. And then Andrew Gilliland, as Devon mentioned, big haul of points there with Michael Chase, Ray Lombardi, Kirill Bondar, and Tom Athon, Brian Jabelski and Otis Adams Jr. between himself and Greg Mack. Zeus Dalston for 3rd in class, then Orlando Harrell. And Mitchell Peak, I think, is probably still parked by the side of the road out of the final corner. And then Simon Foweather and David Barkley sustained damage and were retirements.
Yeah, Peak had a good spot to watch the end of that race. Unfortunately, after all his issues there. And that was I feel a little bit more sympathy for the Daytona guys now after the 23 and 9/8 or 9/10 of an hour.
23:58. Never forget. Forever in Daytona history.
And it looks like we've got one of our finishers here. Yeah, that's Michael Coates. And Michael, after convincing us the race, finished 2 laps early. You managed to drive across the line and slam the door on the final lap there to make it a win for yourself. Michael, you there? Wouldn't be right if we didn't have more technical difficulties today.
The crazy part is that I can still hear his voice in the replay. But that was Thursday.
Well, we'll have to see if we can get that mic sorted out. But it was a hell of a finish and really well played through those final few corners. And shockingly, he even had enough fuel to get it all the way around the track one more time without running out of fuel. So all that early race fuel saving paid off too.
Trying to buy you time to bind a push to talk button here, Michael Coates.
Yeah, he seems to think he's muted, but we don't got him muted on this end, so we'll see if we can get him. Shame to go through all that racing and earn your spot in the booth and not even be able to talk, but rest assured, Mike, we were impressed, and it was a good old race. Oh, I saw a push to talk flicker there.
It doesn't seem like, despite best efforts of both parties, that we are going to be able to chat with Michael Coates, race winner of Round 8 of Spec-5 World Tours Season 15 from Road America. And it was a good one, no doubt.
Oh, wait, there it is.
Right on time.
Oh,
okay.
Go figure. T is push to talk.
What's the you can't confuse your iRacing push to talk with your Discord push to talk. That's the important bit.
Yeah.
Okay, talk us through the race as fresh as it was in your memory. I believe you've just watched most of it back.
Yeah, it was a great race. Kind of made a couple moves last couple laps. I don't know. I think we might have missed one because of the timing, like mess it up. So you guys thought the race was over. That was pretty funny. I thought watching it. I was like, meanwhile, at the front of the pack, we're
making a nice move on Rui Coimbra. I'm seeing good little push under that bridge.
But then I guess realistically, surprisingly, I'm kind of surprised Camden didn't make a move earlier, knowing Camden's just aggressiveness typically. I was kind of shocked to be out front towards the end because that usually doesn't happen. But I managed to kind of fight him off. There was a little rubbing towards the end, which I wasn't like happy about, but we each got across the line clean, and I thought it was all in fair racing. It was a great race, I thought.
This is a good one, and always happy to see one of our own up at the front. Got the Canadian club right. I'm trying to refresh my timing. It's broken.
I'm from northern Pennsylvania, which is really close to Canada. It's just across Lake Erie, so we're real close neighbors.
How was your eclipse?
Oh, it was great, actually. Great, perfect. We got perfect eclipse. I hear.
I'd say that you eclipsed Camden Hibbert by 9,000ths of a second in a classic Spec-5 World Tour photo finish.
It was a wonderful first win. I'm real happy with that. I hope to, have more in the future, but we'll see. Who knows? Anything can happen out there.
Goals for the rest of the season? You're trying to support a team's championship. You're trying to grab a couple more wins. You're looking for more podiums. What does this set you up for, and how are you going to see out the season?
I really just feel like I typically try to shoot for podiums if I can, or, and then just move the goalposts as necessary during the race. But, I just try to go out there and have my best race. And if I can't win one, hopefully I can, pick somebody to, push along, because I'm usually pretty good at that.
Awesome. We'll look forward to seeing you for more Spec-5 World Tour, where our timing will work.
Like I said, it was very entertaining nonetheless. So great. Thanks, guys. Much appreciated. You guys do a great job.
You put on your show, we'll put on ours. Yours was spectacular today. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care, guys.
In the end, we got to speak to Michael Coates, race winner of Round 8 of Spec-5 World Tour, and it's just such a close one in the end there. 9,000ths of a second for first, 12 thousandths of a second for third, and a great open class win for Andrew Gilliland as he ran with the big boys all race long and bagged a solid result points-wise to go with it. Make sure you're following HJBC when we bring you more Spec-5 World Tour racing to see out their season, and also with the Champ Car iRacing series tomorrow from Silverstone. We've got lots of great iRacing to bring you on HJBC going forward. I've been David Haynes with Devin Peters and Michael Derby, and we'll see you for more later on.